Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I have Penn State men's soccer head coach Jeff Cook here with us. Coach Cook will start with an opening statement ahead of our Big Ten tournament game against Ohio State on Saturday, and then we will open the floor to questions. So, Coach Cook, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Nicole, and thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate your interest and support of our program and our student athletes. We are really excited and looking forward to being back on Jeffrey Field this Saturday. The Big Ten quarterfinals is a really exciting opportunity for our team. We know that this game will be a massive challenge. Ohio State, although we did beat them 1-0 earlier in the year, it took a late goal in a corner. It took a lot of discipline, a lot of energy and effort to get the right result, and I expect that will be the same this weekend. The team is training very well. I'm excited to see what we can produce for a performance, but no, we're going to have a really strong opponent in the Ohio State Buckeyes Saturday.
All right, we'll start with Trent.
Hey, Coach. So you guys have, in a way, kind of had like a tale of two seasons in terms of the fact that you scored kind of early and often, like early on in the season, and then relied on a little bit more of a stout defense later in the season, with the exception of that Maryland game. So what do you think your team has to do to maximize their play, both offensively and defensively, to be successful in the Big Ten tournament?
Well, I think in every game, we need a good start, first of all. And that's been an emphasis we've been having in practice, in our practice sessions this week. We want to make sure we get off on the right foot. No pun intended. We want to start well, try and, dominate possession of the ball, try and cause Ohio State as many problems as we can. But we also understand that it's all well and good to, for example, let's say we start well and have the territorial advantage. We need to back that up with goals. And we did that in the first part of the season. We did that against Rutgers in the first game of phase 2, I think you're referring to. But other than that, we've scored some late goals. So, having said all that, we know that games at this level, especially in knockout play, have to be won whatever way they come. And I don't think you can be too fussy about whether you score in the first minute and win a game 1-0 or you score in overtime and win. The whole point now is to advance. And that's, as I say, it's going to be really tough Saturday, despite what you might think about Ohio State's record or whatever. They're a really competitive team with a great coaching staff. And as I say, going back to my original statement, the first 15 minutes of the game, I'm really eager that we start the game well.
Go ahead, Otis.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me? It's a little loud over here.
I can hear you, yep.
Awesome. What is the biggest threat that Ohio State is going to pose for you guys?
I think there's two things there. I think this is a new lease of life for every single team that's competing in the Big Ten, because even more and even beyond a normal year, the Big Ten tournament champion, that coming with an automatic qualifying bid to the NCAA tournament is even more valuable than normal because of the reduced field. There's fewer at-large selections available. So I think that's number one, that every team, every one of the 8 teams is capable of winning this championship. And we have to respect that and make sure that we don't, whatever's happened in the regular season is now over. So that's number one. In terms of specifically related to their team and what we've seen in the scouting reports, reviewing our game with them, watching their 2 games that they've played since our first match at Jeffrey Field, I think their energy and their willingness to attack is going to be a threat. They commit a lot of numbers forward in advanced positions, and they kind of challenge you to deal with that, and they take some risks going forward. And so it's kind of like, number one, managing the threat they pose going forward. And number 2, going the other way, try to make sure that we turn possession, we turn counterattacking moments into goals, or at least goal chances. And I think we need to do better at that in general if we're going to reach our goals this season.
Go ahead, Trent.
So you said multiple times this year that, there's no easy games in Big Ten soccer. And, you even just hinted that Ohio State still, despite being a 7 seed, is still a very good team and they're very well coached. So what are you guys kind of doing to make sure that you stay determined and prepared for this tough first round matchup?
We've talked a lot about that. We've reviewed the previous game with our team, because I think sometimes when you get to this point in the season and you've had a successful year, and I do want to give credit to our student athletes. I think they've done a remarkable job battling through adversity. We've had amazing support at Penn State from the administration, from the medical team, the frontline workers, to allow us to have this opportunity. But our guys have done really well to put themselves in this position. So when you look back over the 8 games, it's human nature to say, "Oh, well, that's easy. We were 6-1-1, so that was not too hard, was it?" But you have to really dig into the details and remember that it was late goals, overtime wins, key defensive plays that built this platform to do that. So we've been really reviewing those details, for the realities of the game. What challenges are Ohio State going to present to us? And I kind of call it like, the blue collar mentality that we need to embrace, and how we represent this university and our great alumni, our families, our supporters, our fans. We need to do the hard work first to build that's going to give us the base to let any kind of quality that we have come out. And it's really important we get those things done in the right order. First, work ethic, compete, and then let our playing speak for itself.
Go ahead, Otis.
Hey, Coach. I know you hate this question, but do you know if either Callum or Liam will be available for either the tournament or the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the way you phrase it. We don't comment too much, but really positive that we're starting to get guys who I would say are moving closer to match fitness. Again, emphasizing our sports medicine team have been outstanding. And those 2 guys you mentioned have worked really hard in their rehab. So we expect that both of them, I would say, have a good chance of being available for some minutes going into the Big Ten tournament. Whether or not it happens Saturday, I think they're going to be close. They're going to be close.
Go ahead, Trent.
So you mentioned how the team is, 6-1-1. They've had a really good year, and obviously they're very confident. But with like the ultimate goal being to win a Big Ten championship, what would you say is the number one thing the team needs to improve on to achieve that goal?
It's something we've emphasized right from, honestly, since August. And I think one of the things we need to manage, Trent, is just how long this year has been. And this is an unusual time for us to be competing. It's not normally this is our, quote unquote, non-traditional segment. So I think managing energy level and focus is really important as we go into these games, because if we do well in the Big Tens and we are fortunate enough, I think we still have work to do to qualify for the NCAA tournament for sure. But if we're lucky enough to be in that competition, we could play all the way until late May. So it's about taking steps along this journey every day. I think one of the key things in playoff soccer is game management. And that's a theme. So that is managing the game and realizing that it's a 90-minute competition. So, for example, we want to do better managing our possession play and not get frustrated. I think Otis mentioned, early in the season we were scoring early in several games. That hasn't happened of late. But if it doesn't happen, we have to stick to our game plan and stay patient, stay disciplined. And then when you get a lead in playoff soccer, you have to be really smart about how you manage the game and manage possession, how you defend, and be prepared, because it is about winning at this. It's about advancing, really. So all those things come into it. But I've been really impressed with the mentality of our guys. They seem eager, they seem fresh, and really excited. They know that it's going to be difficult, but I think we also have a strong inner belief in what we're doing.
Go ahead, Otis.
Hey, Coach. Well, first of all, just give Trent some credit. I think it was he who said that instead of me. But anyway.
Well, sorry, Trent. Fair play.
No worries. So you kind of touched on how you might still have work to do for the NCAA tournament. And obviously we've seen Michigan be a top 15 team all year, but you guys have been ranked ahead of them. do you feel as if you've been maybe either underrated this year, or what can you say about potential projections going into the postseason?
Yeah, I've just taken a very boring but super practical approach. And in this COVID year, look, it's impossible. How could you say Penn State? How do you compare Penn State to Clemson or Penn State to Cal Berkeley? You know what I mean? Like there's no common opponents this year. So I think our team is very strong. I do believe that we should be in the conversation for being one of the outstanding teams in college soccer across the country. I believe in our team, and I wouldn't take a backward step on that front. It's not. I don't believe it's arrogance or being, overconfident. But you have to believe in yourself. That's why we're here at Penn State. So that's number one. But the fact of the matter is, we have a game Saturday against Ohio State. We have to win that game. And whatever a website says about our ranking or an RPI, there's teams in the RPI with three games under the belt. Like it's sort of irrelevant. And I totally understand players, families, alumni, they want to see rankings. And, I understand that it's relevant for lots of people. And I don't mean to diminish or demean that, because it is important. We want to be recognized for our achievements. And I do, as I say, I stress, I think we deserve to be in a conversation as one of the outstanding teams across the country. But that doesn't really matter. What I think, it matters how we play on Saturday, and then it'll matter from there. And when we get to the NCAA tournament, if we can do that, and we'll find out against some teams from other conferences and have a chance to progress in the NCAAs. I have a lot of confidence in our guys, but I would rather be in a position to lift the Big Ten tournament championship and rather be in a position to lift a national championship trophy than I would be into, this week's media poll at number whatever. Does that make sense? Like it's practical. It's what's in front of us, and we got to attack what's in front of us, and that's Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, Coach.